Hi, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Third Impact Anime Podcast. I'm Ryan. I'm filling in for Austin today. And today we're going to be talking about the Castlevania Netflix series, as well as some of the video games that go along with it, because, you know, that's the original source material. So with me today, I have Sully.
Hello.
How have you been, Sully? I don't think you've been on a podcast in a while.
I looked it up the other day. I think the last podcast I was on was the Otaku no Video one back in like either June or July, so yeah, it's been a while.
It has been a hot minute. Well, glad you're here for this one. We also have Marisa.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. It's been a long time, I think, since anyone's heard my voice on Third Impact podcast, but for those of you who followed from Token Rambles, I talk all the time. So it's good to be back, not hosting something and talking about something else besides Token Rumbu for once in my life.
Yeah, I haven't been on one in a while myself. I was supposed to be on the Cagliostro podcast last week, but I got afflicted with not having a voice. So that kind of put a hamper on that. And with us today, we have a very special guest. We've mentioned him about 14 million times on this podcast. People have actually asked me if he is a real person. He is indeed a real person. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the man, the myth, the legend, Edwin.
What is up?
He's real. There he is. You can leave now.
It's been
quick.
It's been a while since I've been on this podcast. I apologize for the inconvenience.
Yeah.
I just happen to have my mic on mute all this time.
Yeah.
Well, you're practically on the podcast anyways with all the...
He gets mentioned at least 3 times per conversation we have.
Oh yeah, every time there's a con, Edwin is always mentioned.
Oh yeah. Edwin brings life to conventions, so if you're ever at a convention that Edwin's at, like, seek him out. Like, just hold up a sign and say, I am looking for Edwin, and just find him. He will show you a good time. So, Sully, what have you been watching or playing recently?
I have mostly been focusing on trying to get my life together. I just graduated from school like a few months ago and did an internship.
Congratulations.
And I'm in that weird, like, okay, I'm looking for jobs, and there's not a lot of great jobs out there to be found. So that's why I've not been on the podcast for a really long time. And also why I don't post on social media like at all. Like, I checked again, I have not posted anything in about 6 months. So the reason why is because I've just been taking a very long break to focus on being an adult, which is something I've always failed at miserably.
Well, break from social media is a healthy thing. Many people would argue anyway. So, well, I'm glad it seems to have helped if you got your license and you graduated from school.
Yeah, I'm able to actually do things like an adult now, but and I actually have like several leads on different jobs I have to go to bed and then wake up tomorrow and start working on. So if you are in the same situation I am, where you have to start doing it like adulting, I wish you the best of luck. But in the time I do have, a friend of mine bought and mailed me a copy of Splatoon 2.
Nice.
I've never really gotten into third-person shooter, or third-person or first-person shooters, like any of those, but this I got really addicted to, and so that's what I've been sort of filling my time with, is like, okay, I looked at jobs for an hour, I guess I can play Splatoon for a little while and, try to relax, and just the other day, I found a Nintendo gift card I bought and then forgot I had. Like, I had zipped it up and packed in like a game container thing, and I found it and I used it to buy Okami HD on the...
Oh, nice.
So I have not gotten very far. I think I've played 20 minutes of it so far, but probably tomorrow after doing adult things, I'll probably sit down and start playing that, because I've never played it, but our friend Jessie, who is on Marisa's Token Rumbles podcast, she did a presentation on Okami and got me into wanting to play it, so I'm finally going to take her suggestion up.
Yeah, you definitely will. I took her suggestion and implemented that into my Japanese culture video games panel. I still have to finish that myself. Well, I played it a long time ago, but I'm digressing.
I just want to add that, especially since you're a fan of Legend of Zelda, you'll enjoy Okami follows a lot of the same formula that Legend of Zelda does.
The only thing I don't like about so far is the camera is really awkward. I maybe it's because I'm very used to the Splatoon camera right now because it's like butter. It just moves so easy because I guess you're spinning it around so much. But this one, I've had to invert the axes several times to get exactly how I want it to move, and even then, it's kind of imperfect. But the actual art style and the story, I like how they actually say, well, the story of the eight-headed serpent happened, and now this is what happens afterwards. I like how it's kind of like a sequel to a very famous myth. So I'm looking forward to the adventure that unfolds.
Yeah, it's a great game, but
Much
yeah. So
approved.
I'm glad to hear you're doing well. Good luck on the job hunt. Job hunts suck. We've all been there.
I know.
But
I
yay,
thought
adulting.
it's gonna be 1 or 2 months. It won't be, and now it's like, oh, it's 3 months, and I'm not much farther than I thought I would, other than learning. Like, God, there are a lot of companies that are basically MLMs looking for new graduates. Be careful.
My advice to anybody looking for a job: if you think you're being aggressive, you're not being aggressive enough. It's very difficult. You have to be like super pushy to actually get anywhere. But best of luck with that. So, Marissa, what have you been up to?
I have been in a weird mode as of lately. I took a small break from doing work for trying to focus on hopefully getting into grad school and sorting my life out and stuff, because this summer was just really harsh. Working long hours at a science museum. We had dinosaurs this summer, and I would come home really late, be exhausted, and just not want to do anything. And I'm only working part-time. So unfortunately, grad school is not going to pan out for me. I tried to get in for a spring semester and didn't. So instead, I'm looking towards the future. But in fun news, because who wants to hear about boring old me like struggling to find a job like Sully? It's not fun. I've been trying to catch up on like a lot of getting back into watching more anime series. I kind of fell out of it about a year ago. I didn't really keep up with a lot of the ongoing stuff, and a lot of the stuff this season and last season really has catched my eye, and I'm very hopeful for the winter. We'll see.
What's some of the stuff you're watching right now?
I'm watching Double Decker, Tsunune, Run with the Wind, a BL series, and I think that's it. I would have to look on my watch list right now because I currently can't really remember.
Which BL series are you watching?
It's the current one that's airing on Crunchyroll. It's like it's the I'm being pursued by the number one man that wants to be hugged or something. The title in Japanese is weird. I read the manga a while ago because there's not a legally English translation out there, but a fan translation of the series, and I actually enjoyed it. I'm being harassed by the sexiest man of the year.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So it's a series about Kim Jong-un then.
What?
There was a joke a long time ago where the Onion named Kim Jong-un the sexiest man of the year.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wholesome thing, and yeah, that's what I'm currently watching and working on right now.
Edwin, you've never been on this podcast. Give everybody your life story.
Oh, of course. I wouldn't do that. I don't want to bore the people. So I'm just gonna go and tell.
Give a highlight about yourself. What are 3 fun facts about yourself?
I don't have fun facts.
Have you ever committed a murder?
I have not. Wait, does GTA count?
Yes.
No, I still
Are you
haven't.
legally allowed to leave the country without fear of extradition?
I'd assume so.
Give a little detail about that. Like, what kind of stuff do you like?
Yeah. Right now, the past few days, I've just been playing my Dreamcast. Been playing games like Power Stone, Crazy Taxi, Space Channel 5. A lot of the quirky stuff that Sega released that Since then have mostly received ports on other systems, but I like to play on the system that it originally came out on. And anime-wise, I've been rewatching Dead Leaves and Redline.
Redline is great.
Oh,
I haven't
yeah.
seen that in a long time.
I just rewind it and see like the frames of the show because it's so incredibly detailed.
Oh yeah. I'm pretty sure that was one of the last things during the days of hand drawn.
Unfortunately,
Yeah. But good to have you.
like I said, I had my mic muted.
Yeah, pretty much. He's just pretty much been observing us and learning our weaknesses, waiting for his perfect time to strike. And he struck now. He handed me a folder of blackmail this morning. He was like, "Hey, I know you're recording a podcast today. If you don't put me on it, I'm going to spread this everywhere."
I mean, I knew you guys were going to talk about a game-based anime, so of course I had to join.
Anyways, rounding off the personal stuff with myself, I've recently been binging tons and tons of American shows because I adopted a new rule of not watching any anime show during the season it's out because I can't possibly take the time to watch all the shows and figure out if I like them or not. So I just wait for other people to tell me what's good. But yeah, I've also been playing Undertale on the Switch again, and Deltarune came out on the PC, which is something, and we're probably gonna have to wait another 3 years to actually figure out anything that's going on with that. And I moved. Yeah,
Deltarune.
that's pretty much how I feel. But oh my god, it was so good, even though it was like a 3-hour demo. But I also moved recently, and I finally was able to assemble my media shelves the way I wanted to. So now I have everything displayed, and it looks so pretty and just so amazing. And I finally accomplished a personal milestone of mine today. I got a physical copy of Super Metroid on SNES, and it looks real good. So that's on the shelf, and it's currently staring at me longingly. And other than that, I've been binging on Castlevania stuff just because, like, the show came out. I recently replayed through Symphony of the Night. Not on the new Requiem that just came out, actually, but on PSN, but that's a great game, and we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I think at this point we're going to take a short break and listen to some tunes. And when we get back, we're going to jump right into Castlevania. So we will be right back. Before we get started real quick, I just wanted to hashtag shameless self-promotion us. And you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Third Impact Anime, Twitter at TI_anime, and our website where we post wonderful, wonderful articles and such at thirdimpactanime.wordpress.com. And also, as we've mentioned in the last couple episodes, we're currently doing a giveaway of the Rose of Versailles Part 1. We're giving away a copy to the first half of the show completely free to one of our faithful listeners. All you have to do is go over to our iTunes page and leave us a star rating and a review. Then you'll be entered to win. And we will be announcing the winner on our Facebook community page on December 13th, so please get your review in as soon as possible. Rose of Versailles is out of print, and it's only going to get harder to find, so make sure to take advantage of this while you can. And you can find the community page on Third Impact Anime Community on Facebook. And we all are involved there. We talk about random whatnot, post memes sometimes, but mostly it's discussion and just it's like-minded people who also like anime and such. So yeah, definitely join us on there and definitely enter to win Rose of Versailles. It's a very great show. So wanted to get started with a bit of a background on Castlevania. So Castlevania is a series that originally came out for the NES. It's a portmanteau of Castle and Transylvania, as most of you probably already know, but just for any of you who don't, It's a series about the Belmont clan trying to rid the world of Dracula, and it's a great series. It's one of my favorites personally, and I know most of the other people on here agree with me on that. It's a really, really, really good series. Recently, Netflix came out with a TV show for it. It started out as only a 4-episode first season, and then got an 8-episode second season this past year in October, which was definitely a step up from the first season. But it was I still love the show, and I love the series as a whole. But Sully, what's your background with Castlevania? When did you start playing it, and what's some of your favorite games for it?
So I didn't grow up playing them, but when I got older, I would say maybe like late high school, like right when I started like community college before I went to university, is I played them on emulators, which I do not want to necessarily condone, but that's what I did. I played through the original games just out of boredom. It was when I was taking like a gap semester after high school. So I would just like sit at home and play Castlevania games and like Tetris, and that's all I would do. And I got really in the series from just doing that. And I never got into the Metroidvania style games. I really just sort of stuck with the classic stuff. And my favorite is Bloodlines for the Genesis. Mostly just because it ties into the original Dracula novel, which is one of my favorite books. It's almost like a sequel / continuation. Like they even make it so that the Morris family from the original Dracula book are actually descendants of the Belmonts, and they now hunt Dracula. And they jump all over World War I era Europe, and it has Elizabeth Bathory as sort of the second in command villain. It's just one of my favorites in the series. And I guess I just really like Castlevania because it goes back to that sort of gothic hammer horror style that me and our usual host Austin are such big fans of. I know I talked at length about my love for Christopher Lee's Dracula when we did the Vampire Hunter D episode like a year ago. So that's really where that kind of comes from. But I'm a very casual fan. I couldn't name all of the games after like Rondo of Blood. That's probably as far as I know in terms of the canon, and it's so I'm kind of here as like a middle ground person.
So you don't like the Metroidvania stuff if you stopped at Rondo?
I mean, I didn't stop at Rondo. I didn't play it, but I watched the playthrough, and I know the storyline. So like I know the canon of it, even if I haven't necessarily sat down and played it myself. Mostly, I know Rondo because I have a crush on Richter. So I'm very glad he Smash because I don't want Simon to be representative because he looks like Ator the Fighting Eagle, and that's a very unattractive look.
Oh my god, I know. He looks like He-Man with a whip, which is just going to bring up all sorts of things I don't want brought up.
He looks like Deathstalker and the Warriors from Hell is what he looks like.
Yeah. No, I'm very glad Richter's in Smash as well. He's one of my favorites, and I'm definitely going to be maining Richter. Like, just oh my god. But that is, of course, unless they put Waluigi in the game. Like, just come on, Sakurai. We know you want to. You know we want you to.
That guy.
Never.
Stop hoping.
I will never give up hope. That's the whole point of this series. Did you miss the point while watching this series? You're supposed to keep hope.
Oh no, I was rooting for the vampires to win. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my god. All right. Well, anyways, Marisa, what's your take on Castlevania?
So I am a pleb when it comes to Castlevania. I actually got my start. Was it last year? Was it released last year? Was the season 1 of Castlevania released last year on Netflix, or was it like a while ago?
Yeah, it was like July of 2017, I want to say.
It's really weird. But yeah, I already knew like about the Castlevania games before because I am a casual gamer, so I'd heard about them, but I just never played the games. All I knew was a little bit about Castlevania through some like top 10 lists and reviews and stuff, and all I could see was like the original one with the terrible whip. Like it just didn't look appealing to me at all, and I didn't know there was any newer-ish one, so I just didn't really get into the series. But the plot was interesting, and when they came out with the short 4 episodes that was season 1, I was like, ooh, this sounds interesting. I'm gonna watch this because I can watch this in like 2 hours. Thank you, Netflix.
Yeah, not even. It was like less than an hour and a half.
Yeah. But I watched the entire series just one day randomly.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think it was one of their sponsored things, so it showed up. I was like, "Ooh, I've heard of Castlevania. I didn't know they were doing this." So I watched it and was like, "This is really cool." What? And then I contacted actually Ryan and I was like, "What game is this from?" And you were like, "I don't know." And then we found out that it was 3, and I was like, "Oh, so they're going in chronological order." And thanks to Ryan, I started to learn a little bit more about kind of the game order and some of the history. So I would just ask like random questions about things. And then of course we binged season 2 in like a day at my
Not
house.
even, yeah.
Yeah, and Ryan let me borrow one of his games. Which one was it
Yeah,
again?
I lent you Dawn of Sorrow.
Still haven't touched it. Sorry, Leighton comes first. So, So I'm kind of a newbie when it comes to it. My intro into it was through the animated series, which I thoroughly enjoyed as someone who knew nothing about Castlevania, and was really happy to see kind of like the story come to fruition on the big screen. And I can't wait to see the subsequent seasons. We get more people who've played the game as their favorite Belmonts, because apparently Simon is not very well liked.
No,
but I liked
Simon's well liked. Trevor's not.
Not Trevor, sorry.
Yeah.
Simon's the next one. My brain. There's so many Belmonts, my brain. Because
Yeah,
I keep hearing, all I hear is
really-
Simon, because he's the main one. But yeah, no one likes Trevor. But I actually liked him because we'll go into that later. But I just want to say I actually enjoyed it. That was kind of the reason why I got sucked into it. Was his brain of humor, which is hilarious. Also, he was voiced by Richard Armitage.
Yeah.
Thorin, my heart, be still. I just couldn't help it. I was just like, I love Richard Armitage too much.
There were a lot of like Lord of the Rings people in this series, believe it or not. Like not many of them were actually like prominent voice actors. They were all live action actors who got recruited for this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Trevor was Richard Armitage, who played Thorin in the Hobbit series. Dracula is Graham McTavish, who was Dwalin. Dwalin? Yes,
yeah.
Dwalin. I couldn't remember. He has a twin. Dwalin and Dwalin. Dwarf names! Tolkien! But yeah. So that is my history with it. And I don't have a favorite game right now.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually interested to get your opinion more than anybody's, because everybody I know who, besides you, who has watched Castlevania has also played the game, so they're automatically comparing it to already established material. I'm interested to see what you think of just like an outsider looking in, more or less, like of this is your first impression of Castlevania. You don't know anything about the games. You're just seeing the plot as it is and like what you think. But we'll get there in just a couple minutes. So last but not least, Edwin, what do you think about Castlevania?
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Well, yeah. So I started with Castlevania on the GBA with the classic NES series for the original Castlevania.
Oh man, I thought you were going to say Aria of Sorrow.
Oh no. Oh, let me get to the Metroidvania game. All right. So after that, my next system was a Wii, and through the Wii Virtual Console, I was able to revisit a lot of the classic games, including, which is now my favorite, Rondo of Blood, which was, I believe, a PC Engine exclusive in Japan. And my favorite thing about that, aside from the music, which is the first one to support CD audio quality soundtrack, is that it has branching paths. For example, like let's say there's a gap and you get hit back into it. Well, instead of dying in like the other Castlevania games, it could be like a new path with new bosses, new enemies. So So yeah, that's definitely my favorite Castlevania. And after Rondo of Blood, I hate to say it, but I'm not a fan of the Metroid games or anything that follows that formula, like Shantae and other games like that.
And this will be the last Third Impact anime podcast Edwin's going to be on. Have a good night, everybody.
Hey, now, I didn't say it's god awful.
Go on.
I respect the game for what it is. I just like more linear gameplay with my Castlevania title. Actually, I want to give a shout out to my second Castlevania game. Isn't a mainline Castlevania game. It's actually Kid Dracula on the original Game Boy. And,
oh my god.
So in that game, you play as a chibi version of Alucard, and it's just a really, really fun, like, original Game Boy game with like turning into bats and everything.
Oh goodness.
No, Kid Dracula is actually great. It's like, it gets crapped on a lot just because people are just like, it's not Castlevania and it's stupid. Look at this. And I'm just like, have you actually played it? Because it's actually really fun.
Yeah, it's really good. And a Japanese copy shouldn't go for too much, if I recall correctly. The game actually also got ported to the Famicom, but we never got it statewide for the NES. We only got it on the Game Boy.
It's kind of funny because I think that Kid Dracula is supposed to be like a guest character in the new Smash Brothers 2 on the Dracula stage. They showed the silhouette of him. It's very obviously the same pose.
Yeah.
The chibi art style.
I'm very excited for that. That's going to be so funny. Because I think he's in one of the possible stage bosses. That's going to be great. But yeah, so me personally, my personal favorite games are the Metroidvania games, though I do like the original platforming ones as well. But I just love the exploration of the Metroidvania games and the progression system of it. Like, Symphony of the Night is my favorite Castlevania game. Yeah, big surprise, I know. I like a very popular game that's regarded as one of the best Castlevanias of all time. But yeah, it's the first one that made the Metroidvania moniker, and I played it on the Vita recently, and it just holds up so well on that I was able to play through it like 200% and loved every minute of it. And my other favorite is the Dawn of Sorrow and Aria of Sorrow games on DS and GBA. Those are just some of the most perfect games in my opinion. They give such a great progression system. They're a lot of fun. They're difficult as hell in times, but
just out of curiosity, is that the one with bad art?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, no. The DS one has anime art. The GBA one has just like really cringy art.
No. I meant which is the Castlevania on the DS that says best of and has a picture of the cover inside of the cover.
Oh, no, that's not that one. I don't know. I only have the original cases.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's that one. So I actually got started on Castlevania when I was on a trip out west. I played my friend's copy of Harmony of Dissonance, which was a GBA Castlevania, and I had a lot of fun with it. And then he also had Dawn of Sorrow, so I started playing that too, and just like it was so much fun. And then I immediately picked up Portrait of Ruin when I got home, played through that, loved it, and just it's been a love affair ever since. The only thing is I was very disappointed when the Lords of Shadow games came out.
Well,
those were not
the
good.
3D games are pretty bad.
Yeah, in all honesty, they kind of are. I heard the PS2 ones aren't too terrible, but for the most part, yeah, Castlevania should remain a 2D series.
It has been dormant
for a long time. Actually, that's one thing I wanted to mention. It technically has been dormant under the name Castlevania, but the original creator actually had a Kickstarter campaign recently for a new series that is pretty much an homage to Castlevania that he called Bloodstained. And there's 2 games for it. There's Curse of the Moon, which is more resemblant of the NES Castlevania games, and then there's Ritual of the Night, which hasn't come out yet. That's going to be more of a Metroidvania game. I'm really looking forward to playing Ritual of the Night when that comes out. I played Curse of the Moon and liked it a lot. It's very different, but you can definitely tell the inspiration comes from Castlevania. So if you're a fan of Castlevania games and you haven't played Bloodstained yet, I definitely recommend picking it up. Curse of the Moon's available for like $10.
Yeah, I definitely did pick that up one of these days. It's been on my wish list for a while, but
I don't actually know when Ritual of the Night is coming out though. Like they haven't been very clear about that. Kickstarters are actually getting kind of mad.
Well, they keep on updating us at the very least, so it isn't all too bad.
No, it's not. It's not terrible, all things considered. But people are getting a little antsy. Yeah. So Castlevania the series, though, that's something else entirely. Like I was very surprised and very cautiously optimistic personally when I heard that Castlevania was getting a Netflix series, because as anybody who likes video games can tell you, there has very rarely been an actually good adaptation of a video game to either television or movie. And when I heard it was only getting 4 episodes, I was like, well, what are you going to do with 4 episodes? And their answer was, we're going to introduce the series. And I said, okay. The premise is basically the plot of Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, and little aspects of Curse of Darkness, which is a PS2 one. It follows Trevor Belmont, and he's in the 1400s, and pretty much he's trying to just live in a world that hates his clan and a world that Dracula exists in, and Dracula goes berserk and wants to eradicate humanity after they burn his wife at the stake for being a witch, where she obviously was not a witch. But yeah, it was really well done in my opinion, and as Marisa mentioned, Richard Armitage plays Trevor Belmont. He did an absolutely fantastic job. Graham McTavish was Dracula and also did a fantastic job. I just thought the entire voice cast as a whole did a fantastic job. But so I guess we can jump into thoughts about the series. So Sully, what were your overall thoughts about the series? Like, did you like it? Did you hate it? What was some of your highlights, or whatever the opposite of highlights is? Highlights for bad things.
So, when I said, it came out the first season in October last year. Marisa was right, or whoever said it came out in July.
It was October this year that it came out.
So the first season, I wanted to like it, and the first time I watched it, I didn't. And then before the second season came out, I rewatched it, and my opinion on it softened considerably. I liked it a lot more. I think my problem with the first season was, one, it felt a little bit like, this ain't your daddy's Dracula. Like, some of the violence was, I don't have a problem with very over-the-top violence, but it felt almost like, oh god, this is what a 13-year-old thinks is like badass, isn't it? Like the first night horde attack after Dracula like summons his armies is just so over the top. I was like, look at my watch, I'm like, okay, I get it. It's like, I've seen Dracula films, I've seen very over the top horror movies. Like, it was almost sort of, it wasn't grotesque, it was just almost campy. Like, I felt like at any moment, like Meatloaf was going to like erupt out of the earth playing a guitar solo. And then I think Trevor, I didn't like him at first because, we have characters like him who are sort of like the lout, who's a little bit of a drunk, who is a little more brutish, and it took me a little while to warm up to him more than I think I would. And I think his characterization was a lot better in the second season than it was in the first. And then
I agree.
When he's in the bar and they're having discussion about animal relations, it's like, oh god, I get it. You're edgy. You're not a kid's cartoon. Do we have to have the? I know they're peasants in rural Wallachia. We don't have to, have all of it. It felt in the first 1 or 2 episodes like it was trying to sell the idea to me way too hard. But then as it went on, by the time. And I'm going to warn everyone now. I'm going to call her Sifa. I'm going to call her Sypha. I know it's Sypha, but I'm going to flip-flop on those names because
I'm going to do the exact same thing.
When Sypha's introduced, that's when I felt like it started getting better. But I think my problem, and I don't want to say too much about season 2 yet because I feel like we're going to kind of move into that. But I think my problem with season 1 was that we spend so much time with those two, and then the very end we meet Alucard, but we don't really see that much of Dracula, except in the very beginning. And then my problem with season 2 was we spend so much time with Dracula that we don't see our heroes. And I get they're sort of in medias res with each other, but it felt a little like I was watching 2 different shows.
I can see that. I mean, I enjoyed the first season. But like, I will admit, it was a very, very slow first season, and then right as the things got really good, aka when they introduced Alucard, it ended. So I was like, man, right as I was getting really invested in this, you just took it away from me. But we got a lot of Alucard in season 2, so I was happy about that. But Marissa, the non-Castlevania game fan, what did you think?
Well, I expressed it a little bit, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love the animation style. It did a really good job of kind of capturing the tone of the series. There was still some dark colors like the blacks, the grays, and some of the reds, but at the same time, it wasn't grayscale. It wasn't like a lot of, unfortunately, the Justice League movies falter from. There's still light, which was kind of nice. Like, even though Dracula's castle was dark and there was a lot of mechanical stuff, you could still see some light and shadowing going on. And then when it was daytime, it was like, oh wow, there's actually sun. This is surprising, but I enjoyed the acting. I agree with Sully. Kind of thinking back on it, I didn't get the bar scene. It kind of came at a really awkward time, and when I rewatched it, I finally understood actually what they were talking about. I didn't get it at first. Like, I kind of understood what the peasants were trying to talk about when it came to animal relations.
Oh boy.
Thanks. But I didn't really get some of the dialogue afterwards when Trevor kind of came in and interrupted them a bit. But I found him to be a very interesting character. He didn't care. He was like a devil may care kind of character, but he was still kind of a badass in his own right. But I will agree, the tone really shifted and it was a lot more interesting when Sypha came in. I enjoyed her character. She constantly would side-eye Trevor and be like, you are an idiot. I don't know why I'm with you. Boy. Because they balanced each other out a lot, which is why they get together. But
Yeah.
But that's why I like their relationship, because he's very just like, whatever, and she's just trying to get him to like pull him into reality and be like, hey buddy, you actually have a role as a Belmont and this skill, let's use it to our advantage. I love vampire floating Jesus. Thank you, Alucard. Just
Alucard, he is hands down. He's hands down my favorite in just everything he's in. Oh my god, he just comes out of that coffin thing sarcastic, and you're like, this is gonna be great. I love this character dynamics. And I'm really happy that the series started out with the beginning. They started out with what is Castlevania 3, the game, but it's the very beginning of the series, and giving us kind of the backbone instead of throwing us into this world and starting out with Simon. You wouldn't know much about what's going on. But if they had actually wanted to throw us into the world, they would have started with Leon. But the game we get with Leon is where Dracula gets created, so I feel like that would have been a very, very slow burn. Whereas they may do that story like later down the line, like Trevor's telling the story of Leon or something, which I would actually like a lot.
It could be a flashback.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
A flashback episode or something that we'll get later on. But this, I felt, and I will agree with Sully, like especially comparing it to season 2, the pacing was a little weird and a little funky, because I think what they were trying to do was capture the audience and give us Trevor, Sypha, and Alucard in the first season. Like, we got 4 episodes. They didn't have much of a budget. They didn't know what they were going to get down the line. It was just kind of like a Hail Mary and hope and pray that the fans actually enjoy it. And I think that's why we got the second season. And they really wanted to, with the second season, tie in a ton of the loose other stories going on that we're probably eventually going to see later on in other seasons. And which is why we got a little bit more about Dracula instead of focusing on our heroes, because I don't know how Castlevania 3 goes. I don't know how their journey is, but to be honest, going from point A, from the town that they were in, to point B, to be honest, really shouldn't take that long. It was mainly once they get to the Belmont estate, learn what they need to do, deal with the whole Dracula thing, it doesn't really shouldn't take that long. Most video games draw things out and make you fight more things, but as a storytelling, that was kind of all that was necessary. But
yeah, I think that's one of its strengths is it doesn't waste time with unnecessary padding and have us just going, get on with it, because it actually did get on with it fairly quickly.
Oh yeah.
But like the one thing that I noticed was absent. For anybody who's played Castlevania 3, you've noticed it too. He got Sypha and he got Alucard. He did not get Grant. Grant was actually the first party member he recruits in Castlevania 3.
Was he the pirate?
Yeah, he's the pirate.
Well, no one cares about Grant.
The internet would beg to disagree with you. So many people that I saw were just like, hey, dude, where's Grant? Like, he's kind of important to Castlevania 3. And I was happy to see that the person in charge did say, just because you didn't see him here doesn't mean he's not in the world. Like, they have taken some creative liberties, which is necessary when you're revising something that's like, what, 30 years old at this point? Yeah, 30 years actually as of this year. That
and especially for something that was really light in story in the first place.
Right. So, like, yeah, they have to take creative liberties. But he did actually say, like, Grant might be in that world. You just haven't seen him yet. So I'd be interested to see what they do with him. But Edwin, what about you? What did you think overall?
So when it first came out, I was pretty indifferent towards it, but I actually rewatched the first season after I had watched the second season, and the way I saw it was pretty much the first season was one giant prelude towards the second season, and I see the second season as the real first season, as in the first season was pretty much just giving us all the details, trying to get all the heroes together. And in the second season is when, with Dracula with his army and having them attack, and then having the Trevor, Sypha, and Alucard going back to the original Belmont estate. I see that as a prelude. Other than that, from playing the games, I thought it was pretty faithful representation to what I had pictured as a kid, what Castlevania would be in an anime style, and was fairly pleased with how it came out.
For sure.
I do. One little thing I enjoyed was how they made Sypha, like, you couldn't tell her gender. Remember when she was like, she was a stone, right? In the anime?
Yeah.
And then in the games, she's like a blue, what was it, blue, right?
Yeah, she was wearing
the blue robe, and you couldn't tell until the very end when she takes off her robe, and then you see her hair, and she's like hugging Trevor, that you know that she's a female. It's kind of like how they revealed Samus to be a female at the end of the game. That's what they did with Sypha. So I do enjoy they add little things like that just for people who have played the original game.
Yeah, because in the original, Sypha explained that she hid her gender in order to become a vampire hunter for the church. So she hid the fact that she was a woman and masqueraded as a man. So yeah, that was actually a very interesting touch, I thought.
Other than that, I thought it was I enjoyed it, especially after rewatching it.
I feel like if now that season 1 and 2 is out, if you haven't watched it yet, watch like straight through, because I feel like season 1 mixed with season 2 would be significantly more enjoyable, because it'll feel like less of just a slow slag that then once you're done, you're like, sorry, that's all you get for a while.
I felt like they were also testing the waters by releasing those 4 episodes to see how the public would receive it.
I think that's exactly why they did it that way, because they didn't know like if it would actually be successful. And from what I saw at first, the reaction was, it's good, but like you didn't really do much. Like, you got to give us more. So they
Where's
did.
the rest of it?
Well, it wasn't in development hell for like forever. I think it was like first announced in like 2008 or something, and it's just been kind of like
Oh yeah.
like bounced around and changed like a lot. I know that Grant was supposed to be in the original lineup when they were like first shopping it around.
It was actually going to be, believe it or not, it was actually going to be a direct-to-video anime film at first, and that was back in 07. So, yeah, it's been in development hell for quite a while. And then in 2016, they announced that they struck a deal with Netflix to produce it. But they actually did always intend to adapt Castlevania 3 as the source material. So
I'm glad they got that Netflix money, because with a lot of other game to movie adaptations, they're less than stellar. Let's just put it
that is a phrase to describe that. Yes.
It is yet to be seen. We still have Detective Pikachu coming next summer.
Oh, he was talking about things like Final Fantasy Spirits Within, like stuff back then.
Yeah, no, some of those bad things, but
Street Fighter.
We could be seeing the generation of actually good game to movie / TV show adaptations with Castlevania and Detective Pikachu of all things.
Well, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like in that topic, I actually really enjoyed the Tomb Raider movie. Like, I thought it was legitimately good.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. Not only Tomb Raider was really good, but Rampage also was really good as well.
Yeah. Like, even though that looked like a generic monster movie, that was like real fun. Like, I enjoyed the hell out of that movie.
Oh yeah,
So,
about Rampage.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody forgets that Rampage is actually a video game movie,
and was successful.
Yeah, I'm very excited because now Castlevania's seeing success. I'm really wondering what they're gonna do next. Like,
we're two for two.
Yeah, I mean, Castlevania is not even going to be the last thing that probably gets an adaptation at this point if they keep doing them well.
I mean, Super Mario is going to get like a movie by the same people who make the Minions of all things coming out in 2020. So
yeah. That's one of those things that to me is just like, I can't actually believe that that's a thing that they're developing until I actually am sitting down in the theater watching it, you know?
Well, Ryan, I want you to keep something very important in mind. In the year 2020 and for years afterwards, Facebook moms will have memes with toads saying, if you can't accept me at my worst, you don't accept me at my best. And that's going to proliferate the same way those little yellow Tic Tacs have, and it'll be horrible.
No. I know.
That's not a world I want to live in.
Well, too bad, Edwin. Here you are.
But even though, like we were mentioning, the series has seen success so far, they actually have greenlit a third season. It's going to be 10 episodes, so it's getting bigger and bigger every time that they get a new season. But I was actually the thing that interested, huh?
Season 3, Simon.
Maybe I actually don't know because that was the thing I was going to mention. They introduced all the plots with Hector and Isaac. I feel like they're going to wrap that up first before they get into Simon. And Hector and Isaac were actually two characters that jumped out at me the most as actually, being in here, because they're from a 3D game. They're from Curse of Darkness, which I would hazard a guess to say that not too many people besides me who's watched like many lore videos on Castlevania have actually even heard of before this series.
I had no idea who they were.
Yeah. Like when I was watching it, I was just like, wait a minute, you seem familiar. And then it hit me when we were like midway through the season. I was like, oh my God, they're doing that. Like, I had no idea that they were actually going to be incorporating stuff from Curse of Darkness, but that is also a game where Trevor appears, so it makes sense. It was just kind of surprising to me. But I like what they're doing with them so far. They're both very good characters.
They changed Isaac quite a bit, but I do enjoy the characterization. Talking about the violence in season 1, I really like how they handled it with Isaac. Like the scene, sort of the epilogue where he's in the desert and he takes down the bandits that are assaulting him. Like, I think that was sort of where they kind of honed it, where it's not so, again, 13-year-old boy just played Shadow the Hedgehog and wants to make an anti-vampire story. Like, it felt both visceral and kind of like engaging and satisfying in a weird way. I like that scene in particular with him, and just the idea of how they show the Forge Masters handling the dead bodies, and it was both kind of creepy and uncanny, but you kind of want to know how it works. It seems very cool at the same time, as opposed to just kind of being disgusting for disgusting's sake.
Yeah, it's also the first time we get like backstory on the Forge Masters that wasn't in manga. So I loved that they did that, because in Curse of Darkness they just kind of jump you in, and yeah, you actually play as Hector in Curse of Darkness, like he's the protagonist. But their stories have changed a little bit, but that is not necessarily a bad thing. Like Curse of Darkness is not known for its riveting story. It's not really known for anything. So the fact that they're even using these characters at all is just interesting to me.
They're known for being mediocre characters in a mediocre game, right?
And Isaac looked like really weird in that game, and he's like, now he's a black guy. Like he's an entirely different character. Like he was an African slave in the TV series. I don't even remember what his original backstory was, but he was just some generic white guy in Curse of Darkness. So he has a much more compelling backstory as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, I also like that how they included the Forge Master backstories in season 2. It made you like emphasize with them a bit more than just having them for the sake of being there.
Yeah. So, what other thoughts did you guys have? What was some of your favorite moments in the series?
I definitely enjoyed the end scene with, I believe it was season 1 when Trevor rallied the townspeople to attack the vampires, and they were just wondering why they should listen to him. And he said, "Well, I'm the only one with any experience fighting these." And then there was that one creature that told the priest, you don't have the best interest for God," and then just ate him. I thought that was a pretty cool scene.
Oh yeah, that speaking of
definitely deserve that.
Yeah, on Sully's topic of viscera, that was ugh. That was a bloody scene. My favorite scene was probably the Alucard fight at the end of season 1, just because it was animated so well. You got to see my boy in action, and just it was a really fun scene to watch. And Sypha was pretty much just sitting there like, "Boys, we're both on the same side. What are you doing?"
It was pretty touching with the end of season 2 as well, with how Trevor gave his estate to Alucard, and then how he had to reflect on both of his human and vampiric sides and take care of both of them.
Yeah, that was one thing. We mentioned how the series departed from typical Castlevania. That was honestly the biggest thing to me, because if you've played any Castlevania game, you know when you beat Dracula, the castle falls apart. That didn't happen.
Yeah, that definitely was different from the game.
So, what happens with the actual castle in game?
It just crumbles. It disappears.
Oh.
Which happens in the original book, too, if I recall correctly. It's just sort of like a weird Dracula thing, is defeat him and, he has to rent for a few months afterwards.
Well, it's pretty much been like, because the castle is tied to his power, so like its existence is tied to him, and when he vanishes, so does the castle. But that didn't happen this time, and that was actually really interesting.
Yeah.
So, like,
seeing Alucard, like, at the end, just reminiscing about his father and going up the stairwell, it hurt. Like, it hit me in the feels just seeing him kind of by himself in this big dusty castle. But yep.
Yeah, they've really hit you in the feels with those two a lot.
Oh my gosh. Especially with the fight scene against his father. Just ouch.
He breaks the bed frame.
He breaks the bed, and Ryan told me like the fight's not as emotional. Like, he doesn't hold his punches against Alucard, but in this one, you actually see him, like, he really doesn't want to hurt his son. He cares about him, and he's like the last remnant of his wife, because he looks like her. He has her blonde hair, and it's just like, oof. And then when they get thrown into the bedroom, you're like, oh, that's his childhood bedroom.
Yeah, that scene hit me, because he's just like, I'm trying to kill the greatest gift she ever gave me. I must already be dead. And then,
Stab.
Yeah.
Rip.
It departed in quite a few ways, but like it was still really solid. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
For sure.
Probably one of my favorite scenes from the animated series would have to be, oh god, what is it? I, as a nerd, just love when they got into like essentially the Belmont library and just seeing everything. I freaked out and I was like, please don't tell me they destroy the library. And like Ryan just looks over at me and he's like, maybe? I'm like, don't they dare. That's way too much history. He's the last one. They need this. But yeah.
See, one of my problems is when they actually get into the library, because it feels like that's when the story kind of hits a standstill, because then it's like, oh god, the three heroes are just literally in that library for like 2 or 3 episodes, and then it's nothing but, you know, the court drama of vampires. That's when it's like, okay, can we kind of start moving some things along? We've done plenty of setup. Let's start getting to Act 2 or 3 here eventually. Like that's where I was just kind of like, I'm bored, because they're going to hang out in the Belmont pad for a while, and then Dracula's going to mope in his library for a while, and then Hector and Isaac will carry the story, and Carmilla will, you know, basically do all the heavy lifting, and then there's all these other vampires who have these really cool designs, and we don't learn anything about them except for the one that's like a combination of Michael Myers and Shrek. Oh wait, that's the same person. The one who's like the Scottish one, who I'm like, okay, why are you the vampire that we spend the most unpleasant one? Like, we got the one who looks, you know, sort of East Asian, and the Indian looking one, and they're very, you know, cool looking designs, and they have cool fighting skills, and they don't talk, and I wanted to know about them, not the one that just wants to have sex and eat.
Yeah. Quick clarification. Did you mean Mike Myers the actor, or Michael Myers the Halloween serial killer?
Well, you know, given that Godbrand was very into murder, I feel like it was kind of a very appropriate mistake to make. So yeah. I mean, it was kind of like serial killer Shrek as a character. So
yeah, Godbrand was actually played by Peter Stormare, and he was an absolutely fantastic actor for that role. Like, he did such a great job.
I couldn't actually stand him. I didn't like his voice. His accent seemed fake as heck, and I was just like, please get him off my screen and kill him quicker.
You were supposed to hate him, though. That was the thing.
Yeah, but it wasn't just personality. I was just like, I can't take his voice. Get him off.
I love really Peter Stormare. He was in Prison Break, so I love him from that.
I really do love Carmilla, and all I know about her in the games is that she's either a woman sitting on the skull, or she's a, you know, giant floating bleeding mask who terrifies Luigi in the new Smash Brothers, apparently.
That's her?
Yeah.
That's her. In the games, at least the games I've played, she doesn't really appear as a human. She just sort of either is, again, a woman sitting on the skull or a giant floating mask.
Yeah, Carmilla, ironically enough, actually doesn't appear in Castlevania 3 or Curse of Darkness. She's in Rondo of Blood and Simon's Quest predominantly.
Yeah, one last thing I wanted to bring up about Castlevania is that I really enjoyed how many different ways they were able to get different death scenes. Like, there's so many different ways that people got killed, whether with like the ice spears or whatnot. I thought it was pretty creative.
I think my favorite is when Carmilla has that very quick flashback to her killing her husband, who turned her into a vampire, and it's just her throwing him off of a building with a noose around his neck, and it's like breaking his body in half. I'm like, yeah, feminism.
Can someone please make that a meme?
Just throwing him off the thing and just say #feminism.
Feminism.
Yeah, she was great. I'm interested to see what she does with Hector. Yeah, thank you.
Poor Hector.
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt so bad for him at the end.
Yeah. Because he was the one who actually like realized he feels bad for what they're doing.
I cannot sympathize with the human mass, like outside of like, you know, Sypha and Trevor and Hector and Isaac, who are the humans that we actually spend the most time with. Like, the rest of them, and Lisa to an extent, but for the rest of them, like, they're dumb Wallachian peasant folk. They bathe in the river and use pine cones for money. I don't really. If they're all destroyed, I mean, that's kind of better off. I mean, I don't want to be a traitor to my own kind, but like death or living in your own filth.
Yeah.
A lateral move, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it was it was really hard to sympathize with the humans because you literally only saw the worst of the worst who weren't the protagonists, especially that priest. Like, God, I hated him.
Played by Max Headroom himself.
Yeah.
Max Headroom is Claude Frollo in Castlevania.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh god, I did not like that priest guy. He irked me. I was really happy he got his just rewards. And then I was like, all right, we're done with him. And then we see him in season 2. And we actually see the downfall of I can't remember her name.
Lisa.
And you're just like, you are dead. Please go back to being dead and stop harassing her. Please, no. No. I don't want to see this. And then you see like his dead body later on. You're like, ooh, that's an interesting twist. Not just using a random dead body from the pile of Wallachians. We're using this, the priest.
Yeah, the bishop.
Condemned her. Yeah, the bishop guy that condemned her. And you're just like,
I think the way that
little turd.
To bless the river and make the other vampire army fall into it. I think that was a pretty clever little way.
Oh, that was brilliant. Like, just as a strategy, that was hilariously brilliant.
How did they do the river thing? Because the vampires mention, I do love how they're like, we don't have a manual for this. We don't know how it works. But they're like, they cannot cross running water, which is a traditional Romanian belief, is that vampires cannot cross a running river or any body of water that has movement to it. But they still try to. Maybe I forget it, but I was like, is this a plot hole? Did I miss something? Is it because it's been blessed? Is this a before or after thing?
It was because it was blessed.
Because it was blessed. They didn't really play into that myth very well.
Yeah. I think they kind of said it was just a myth. It's something we've avoided for years because, like they said, we don't have a manual and we've been alive for so long that they weren't certain if it was an issue or not because none of them had ever encountered it and they didn't want to. They didn't want to try it out, kind of like eating garlic. Like, do we want to eat garlic and then maybe like vomit up blood? That doesn't sound nice. So let's just avoid it anyways. So I think that's kind of like why they avoided running water. And they were in that scene with them crossing the river. They're like, oh, we've got this. And they were kind of blind to the fact that Camilla and Hydra and them kind of like betrayed them. So then it was like, oh snap, holy water, not good.
Yeah.
Oof.
Still 2 or 3 episodes of them debating: do we go across the river? Do we not go across the? That
got old. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how Godbrand is like, well, we can't just, even though the point of this is extermination, we can't just go and kill everyone. We need a plan. I'm like, that's the plan. Like, you're vampires and you just go and you just kill everyone. Like, this is not. Like, this ain't, you're not planning D-Day.
Well, no, he was speaking more in regards of like, what are we gonna eat afterwards?
Yeah.
He was thinking of the consequences.
Yeah.
Well, I know he mentions that, but like, even I think he's discussing it with either Carmilla or they're all together in like Dracula's like waiting room for vampires, and they mention like, well, Hector and Isaac will be the plan masters, but again, if outwardly Dracula is saying he wants to kill everyone, even if some of them believe he wants to keep a cattle stock and some of them believe he doesn't, it doesn't seem like there should be this much debate and strategy to just go and kill everyone.
I felt that I think that was one of the biggest weak points. I'm going to say big because it was of season 2, because it took up a massive amount of season 2, because even though yes, our heroes kind of taking a while in the library, it wasn't that bad, but it was because there was way too much political stuff going on with the vampires. Like, guys, I understand there's political issues like we mentioned before between what is Dracula's actual main purpose? Oh, his main purpose is to wipe humanity out, but what are we going to do for food? They could have solved that more easily. Like they could have talked about it a little bit better instead of just, hey, we're just gonna constantly talk about it. And also dealing with the political stuff over, are we gonna go to that one town? Are we gonna move the castle? What are we gonna do? And I was like, guys, please speed it up. I liked the backstory with Hector and Isaac. That was nice. They integrated that very well. But we didn't need everything that they threw at our faces, to be quite honest. A lot of that could have been really chopped down, maybe gave us more of, I don't know, our main protagonists.
It probably could have been like 1 or 2
I would have
episodes
loved-
shorter.
Well, that's I think what they wanted to avoid. That was one of the main things about the first season, how it was too short. So I felt like they added those elements to artificially extend the episodes.
They padded it.
Yeah. But
they could have given us more constructive fluff with like, hey, maybe more Sypha and Trevor stuff, and Trevor and Alucard stuff, and Sypha and Alucard stuff. Like they quickly in one episode, we saw like a little scene of them camping out in between that town from season 1 and the Belmont Manor. That's all we had. They could have had a lot more of them traversing across the White Lakean countryside to get to the manor.
I think one of the things is that when the Trevor and friends are in the library is the time that they spend together. We're kind of seeing them interact as characters, and the difference is when we see the vampires, they're talking at each other, and then Trevor and Alucard and Sypha are talking to each other. Like, the vampires are also set in I want this and you want this, and they don't match up. They're just sort of butting heads, but not in a way that really kind of shows how their personalities work with each other. And again, one of my big problems is they had Godbrand and Carmilla and Dracula, and then there's all these other vampires why are they there? They're just there as fluff. They're just there to have fight scenes. Like, I know that maybe adding more characters might have made that political nonsense even more complicated, but it felt like then cut it down, like get rid of them then. If it feels like for the vampire drama to take up so much of this season, it felt like it was thought through less than the heroes side of the story, which did not have as much, but I felt like had more fertile grounds for storytelling.
Not only that, it was even referenced in the show with Isaac claiming that all they did was bicker so much, and that's why he decided to give orders to go ahead and have the army to that one town, because all they were doing were just bickering. It was like 2 or 3 episodes of it.
For sure, and that was the one complaint I had. But in all honesty, other than that, I had very few complaints. I actually appreciated the amount of like detail they put into it, because there were so many Easter eggs to me that, like, if you were a fan of the game, you definitely got them. Like in the Belmont library, they had a complete skeleton of a white dragon, which is one of the most annoying enemies in the game, in my opinion. But it was just kind of sitting there, and I'm just like, oh, that's really cool. And also, right before they got to the Belmont library, they were fighting some monsters, and they paid an homage to the first real boss of Symphony of the Night, the Gaibon and Slagra team combo, where if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the little winged demon and the skeleton bird with a spear, where he picked it up and flew with it at Trevor. That's the first boss in Symphony of the Night, so I thought that was fun.
When are they going to fight the creature and the flea? That's what I want to know.
The what?
The Frankenstein's monster and the little Igor on their shoulder. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
I do like
they're just... That was the thing. The monster designs were, like, pretty much exactly as I expected them to be. Like, they looked pretty much like cartoon renderings of the monsters I've fought 1,500 times.
Yeah, and speaking on the monster fights and whatnot, I know Ryan had mentioned this before when it came to the first scene when Alucard shows up and starts fighting against Trevor. That fight choreography, whoever animated that needs a dang raise. It was
Yeah.
beautiful. Well, not just that, but also the storyboarding of it as well. Like just how fluid it moved. Because in the game, you just kind of see like with many of the whip users, they go like they kind of look like Sheik in Smash Brothers, just like like hitting things. But you're seeing this man whip something, throw it backwards, or like whip something from the air and yank it down. Like it's just beautiful, and especially the last fight scene where you have the three of them fighting in tandem against these vampires. Sypha like bringing the ice up and just cutting the vampire in half was just. I was like, this is just so pretty because Alucard's just like, I'm gonna control my sword and the whip going everywhere, and she's just like, ice, death, everything. You're like, she is really OP.
Oh, she's OP in the original games as well.
Yeah, Ryan told me that.
No, like, Sypha is she's good. She's real good.
One thing I really appreciate is that scene where Sypha and Trevor are discussing the origin of the Belmont name, and they actually mention Belmondo, which is the Japanese interpretation of how that name should be said. That was just one of those little touches. I'm like, I get that. I dig that.
Yeah.
The etymology of the name and the history. I was just like,
why they named him Trevor, and why that's because the names really are not in any way Romanian or Transylvania or Slavic for the most part. I mean, it comes from a 30s like Universal movie.
The funniest name trivia to me is actually Sypha's, because Belmonts is the name they use for English translations, but in Japanese they called her Fernandez.
No, it was Velasquez.
It was Velasquez. I've heard Fernandez as well.
Oh, okay.
Either way, it's like a Spanish name when they're in like Romania.
Yeah.
And
well, she has a bit of a sort of a Spanish-esque accent.
She does.
I guess.
And
I mean, the speakers are nomads.
The voice actress is Hispanic.
Probably traveled Europe.
They're the speakers. They collect the knowledge, and there's multiple groups. So one group will collect knowledge from their area, and then they'll be like, "Oh, hey!" They're going to meet up another group of speakers and pass their knowledge on to each other. So they just wander about. So it makes
451.
Yeah. So that's why she had more of a Spanish name and why she had a Spanish accent. So.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. The Belmonts and the Belmonts in later games are actually they're very close families, and Sypha is the reason that the Belmonts are actually as proficient as they are, because she pretty much gave them magic in their lineage. So thanks, Sypha, for all of the OP characters that we know and love, like Richter and Simon. But yeah, they're both names that if you follow the series, you will see over and over and over again. And there's actually a couple of Belmonts that are playable in various games.
I like how they were joking at the end with when she was joking about writing a book about Belnade and Belmont, and Trevor was like, "Why am I the second one?"
Yeah,
because you're the one driving the horse.
Yeah,
made me laugh.
I found it a bit weird in the library when she's like, all of this knowledge and my people, we've resisted writing it down. Wow, we're really stupid. I'm like, wow, that was a quick 180 on your entire culture, lady. Very quickly, okay.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing is like they were stupid because there was the one scene with
hot take tonight.
No, there was that one scene with Lisa that literally proves they're stupid. They had lost all of this knowledge that they had previously had of medicine and like science, and she was trying to, learn it and bring it to the people so she could do good. And they burned her as a witch. They're stupid.
Speaking of Lisa, is it wrong? Like, in the first episode of the first season, Dracula is so angry and violent, and then this season I wanted to step in that room and be like, "Well, the mean old humans killed my wife for what, the second time? Like, you became Dracula because they killed your wife the first time. You'd think you'd be used to it. I'm just gonna sit and mope and get everyone else do all the hard work for me because I'm sad." Like, he felt just so wimpy.
He really
That's
did.
about right.
But at this point, I think we're going to start wrapping up the discussion. Does anybody have any closing thoughts on the series?
I just want to mention a cool little tidbit. In the original game, you can type in your name as "help me" and you'll get 10 extra lives.
Yeah, the
Just-
naming has always been an interesting thing. They can unlock a lot of
'cause-
cheats and
Yeah,
stuff.
because they made the game harder whenever they brought it over to the States. Because in
Yeah.
the original game, different enemies dealt different amounts of damage, whereas in the American version, the later levels enemies did more damage.
Yeah. The original is still very hard.
Yeah, that's why I would play the Japanese version.
Yeah. I just hope that this show gets like 9 seasons and we eventually get to Richter or all the way through to Soma, because Soma is one of my favorite characters besides Alucard. And just if they can manage to get that far, it would just be so much fun to actually see that produced.
I would just like to mention that in Japan, after the first game was released, there was a series of choose-your-own-adventure books based on Famicom games. I know this from doing Zelda research for a panel. And they had a Castlevania one where Simon, not the original Simon, but his descendant who has become a film actor, is on the set for a movie based on his ancestors' exploits fighting Dracula, where the real Dracula attacks Christopher B., who is a knockoff of Christopher Lee, who's playing Dracula in this one. And it's basically Wes Craven's New Nightmare meets Castlevania. And I just feel like the world at large needs to know about this obscure Japanese novelization of an 80s video game.
That's interesting.
Oh my God.
That's really interesting. But yeah, at this point I think we're going to move on to Twitter questions. We have 3. So first we have one from Will. What is everyone's favorite Castlevania enemy or antagonist?
I'm gonna leave that to you guys.
Well, what was your favorite from this series, I guess, then?
I felt Camilla was a conniving little sneak, and I can't wait to see more of her later on, messing with everything. So,
Oh, yeah. My personal favorite enemy to fight, I really liked Dimitri from Dawn of Sorrow. He was a very interesting character, and just the stuff that happens with him was really interesting. And I don't want to spoil because I know Marissa's going to play that game soon. So I liked Dimitri a lot.
My favorite enemy is the Grim Reaper from the original game because it's one of the first enemies in video games that definitely beat my ass.
Yeah.
It also taught me like the importance of like memorization, like of enemy attack pattern.
Yeah.
I love that Death himself was a servant of Dracula.
Yeah. That's an
an
interesting thing.
For me, that's a hard question. I really, not necessarily to fight them because they're annoying, but I do love the Medusa heads and just the Medusa boss because that's just one of my favorite mythological creatures is the Gorgons.
Yeah.
Other than that, I do love Carmilla in her big, like, bleeding mask form. I just love that design. But I think antagonists in general, I do love Elizabeth Bartley, who is how they Romanize Elizabeth Bathory, the historical figure in Bloodline, just because the idea of just like, I'm going to start World War I to resurrect my dead vampire cousin and try to take over Europe is just the sort of ambition I hope to one day, personify in my own life. And she has the Ojo-sama laugh when you fight her, and I'm really into that.
So next question we have is from Tobias. He asked, what is a man? And so I'm going to have to give the obligatory response that he is a miserable little pile of secrets. But I also really want to quote Drax here and say that Thor is a man because he's a very muscular, manly man. Anybody else have any?
I don't play Symphony of the Night, so I don't know what
Anybody else have any takes on what is a man?
Well, I mean, I think in this modern age, we should be able to define masculinity in any way that we see fit. I mean, we live in a time of shifting and evolving gender roles. So what is a man other than, the sort of society that creates him based on the expectations of his gender? But that's getting into more of a philosophical thing. I don't know. I guess he is a miserable pile of secrets. What does that even mean? Like,
it was a bad translation. It actually got retranslated in Requiem, but I haven't played.
Translation.
I don't know. I haven't
it was
played through yet.
retranslated also in the PSP port.
No, it wasn't actually.
It wasn't?
Nope.
Huh.
It was retranslated in the Saturn port, actually.
Oh, that's right, because the Saturn port is what they use for Requiem. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Don't play that version.
Yeah, I know.
As a Saturn guy myself.
No, I know. It's very buggy. But I actually did want to get a real answer for this question, so I asked Lord Google. And a man is a male human. The term man usually reserved for an adult male. It can, however, also be able to describe any male human regardless of age in phrases such as men's basketball.
Thanks, Google.
Yeah. The last question we have is specifically for Edwin. What is the number one best Kojima directed game?
My answer is Castlevania 3. Go watch Castlevania Season 1 and 2, Tobias.
All right, great answer. So, Sully, where can people find you on social media?
Well, right now I'm still kind of taking my little social media sabbatical, but you can sort of find me on Twitter at Calvacun, that's CALVA_KUN, or you can also reach me at Richter Belmont's Biceps Fan Club at gmail.com.
All right. Rosa, where can they find you?
I don't use too much social media. Like, I don't use Twitter or Instagram. Gasp. I'm a woman who doesn't use social media. Or Facebook even. But if you guys want to, you can follow me on Tumblr. That's where I'm mostly will chill out and post stuff. Be warned. There's a lot of BL. A lot of shipping. But my Tumblr is Musica. It's MUSE, the number 0, ICA.tumblr.com. You will know you are in the correct place because you see a blue sword bird boy. That is moi.
Any other shameless self-plugs there?
Oh, yes. Speaking of sword boys, if any of you are interested in anything to do with Japanese culture, Japanese swords, I would highly recommend getting into Token Rambu. I host a monthly podcast called Token Rambles Podcast. We talk about all the monthly news from the browser game to the anime series when the anime's out, to live action and merchandising stuff. So, yep. Check us out there. We will not have a November podcast. Holidays are pain, plus the fact that 2 of our members are still students, so they are going to be swamped with finals. But yeah, we'll be back for December.
Gotcha. What about you, Edwin? I know you're active on social media.
Yeah, guys, you can find me tweeting about mecha anime at Elon Musk on Twitter. Just kidding. You can find me at SwiftGX tweeting about random weep stuff.
And is there anywhere else that people might be able to find you around, I don't know, January or February?
I don't know. You tell me, Ryan.
You might be able to find Edwin and I at Midshelf Gaming on YouTube coming in January or February whenever we get the urge to actually finish an episode or 4.
I would say late December.
Yeah, late December, early January. Check us out. We're going to be great. Probably. Maybe. Don't get your hopes up. We're new at this. But for me, you can't really find me on social media because I don't use it that much. But if you really want to follow me on Twitter when I post an angry rant at some company who has wronged me in some way, you can follow me at Midshelf Ryan on Twitter. And also, just you could talk to me on the Third Impact Anime community page on Facebook. Don't forget to enter into our giveaway. All you have to do is go into our iTunes page and leave us a star rating and review. If you leave a negative review, I will hire Austin to go find you. But other than that, I've been Ryan. I was joined by Sully, Marisa, and Edwin. And thank you guys so much for joining me on the Castlevania podcast. I hope you guys had fun.
Goodbye, everyone. I'll miss my loyal fans.
Bye, everyone.